Welcome back, AP Stat students. This is question number 3 on our May 18th final preparation, final week for the AP exam. So for number 3, we have an interesting, basically it really has a lot to do with both inferencing and chapter 3, which is experimental design. This is a great question. So if you read through this, you'll see that it's about a fitness test. It's about really how things go. So P is the proportion of adult residents in the city who are able to pass the physical fitness test. Okay. And they want a significance level of 5%. So basically what's going to happen is before the recreation department would make any changes to what's city council would make any changes, okay, and put any money towards a program, there would have to be convincing evidence that this program is better than what they've got in place. So our null hypothesis should be, as far as the decision goes, our null hypothesis is to not do anything, to stay status quo. There really doesn't need to be any new physical fitness programs, is the null hypothesis. Now, if few adults are able to pass the physical fitness test, the recreation department might be able to convince city council that we need this new physical fitness program. So that's what this is all about. If the study shows that so few people can pass it, then we need to invest some more money into a better recreational physical fitness program. It has to be under 5% significance level. All right. What is a type 2 error? A type 2 error is failing to reject the null hypothesis when in fact it is false. Okay, so the alternative is true, and in fact, the null is false. So let's type that out. That's what they want for A. Okay, so that is an essential piece of knowledge that you have to express to the person scoring to get credit. Type 2 error. Now I got to do it in context. Actually, you know what? We'll say what type 2 error is in general, and then we'll put it to context. It's probably the safer bet. When we fail to reject a null hypothesis that is false. So it should be rejected. That's a mistake. Okay. Now, in context of this study, a type 2 error would be not finding enough evidence to convince city council to allow the department to adopt put in place more physical programs. Okay. So in the study, a type 2 error would be not finding enough evidence to convince city council to allow the recreational department to fund more physical fitness programs. Okay, so basically, and then what would the conclusion of that be? They would have residents that need the fitness programs, but there will not be funding for them. That's basically, you've got to try to turn it into context, and then that will get an E for part A. Okay. Just saying what a type 2 error is without context might get a P. You cannot get an E score until you put it to context. All right, so B. All right, that's interesting. It's almost half of the adult residents that volunteer. It's just under half, yeah, way over 35%. So 77 out of 185 actually passed the test, which is way high. All right. So what's going on there is, let me show you here. Basically, they're doing a statistical analysis of the data, and instead of it being 35, instead of it being so extreme that they're this way, so instead of it being so far below 0.35, okay, they were hoping p hat would come out low so they could get a lot of evidence that it was lower than 35%. What happened, in fact, was their statistic came out over here. This is where their p hat was. Okay, so 77 out of 185, that's going to actually be over here. Now, when you do that, what you have is a 0.97. So the p-value, 0.97, type out what that means. You get some points for interpreting that. Okay. So the p-value, I'm probably going to go overboard here, but I want to make sure we show you this. Okay. P-value, the likelihood of observing a portion in this case as low or lower, the one we did, under the assumption true portion of residents is 0.35. Okay, now that is p-value is high. There is not sufficient evidence to say the true portion lower than 35. Okay, now what would the p-value have lead you to conclude? P-value 0.97 lead us to not advise City Council fund more fitness programs. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to fail to reject the null. Put that in parentheses, fail to reject the null. Now, it's really good to start out with the stats knowledge, such as fail to reject the null, but to get full credit, you really have to put context to it. So it's really easy for me to know that I got to fail to reject the null here. What I was working so much on was trying to frame that with context. All right, so that's something you're going to have to work with and watch your timing on. Remember, these questions, one of them takes 25 minutes, the other's 15. So you've got to make sure that you don't spend too much time on that, but you have to try to address the context. It doesn't count without it. All right, so now for C, describe the primary flaw. Okay, so basically what we would say is the conditions are met. What does that mean? The sample is not an unbiased sample. Sample was not a simple random sample of all. Was it adult residents that they were looking for? Adult residents. The sample was not a simple random sample of all adult residents. It was a group of volunteers think about it. And suspect that residents it was a group of volunteers. We can suspect that the residents who volunteered for a fitness test, probably more likely to be people that are that already enjoy fitness. Okay, so it's not an unbiased sample. Okay, there it is. So that is combining the concepts of inferencing with the concepts of data collection and experimental design. So really good question. Hopefully this was helpful.